Welcome in to the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show. Let's roll. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Triple Play Fantasy Baseball. Week 20. Wow, we've hit 20. Week 20. And for those that will hear every week, we're going to remind you, because we are 1 week closer to football, when you use promo code TRIPLE, like 3 total bases, triple, they are going to match your deposit up to $100. That's triple digits. I can't think of anything else triple, but that's free money in this economy. I'm going to hammer it down closer to best ball season. No D-Mendy, no Art, but we got Mr. Reliable, Marty Tallman. What's going on?
I'm doing great. Triple digits. We can come up with something like that. How about Paul Skeen's first pitch?
Paul Skeen's first pitch. Let's go.
Triple digits, baby.
The OG Joel Zumaya reputation. Triple digits.
There's some allegations about him that we won't get into, but I'll tell you off air. It's not good.
Yeah. We got to hear that.
Worse than Guitar Hero.
Oh, wow. And if you're watching on the video, you'll see he's probably just an honorary member of the original pod at this point. But it's our buddy Vinny, a.k.a. Down on the Farm. What's going on?
Not much. Just watching Jackson Holliday take over baseball like we were hoping he would do. And he's doing it now. So I'm ready for the Jackson Holliday show.
All right, Vinny, let me ask you. He has 3 home runs right now. How many does he finish with on the season?
Probably 8. I don't
Probably
think he goes
8.
Yeah. Say 8, maybe 9. Pitchers will start to figure them out as we get through August, though. So don't get too excited. It's not all about the power with him. It's the extra base hits. He might end up with like 20 doubles by the end of the season this year.
Look, Vinny, they don't have bets on the amount of extra base hits somebody has. They have bets on the amount of home runs. And some of us did his over 10.5. I was hoping you'd say 11, but I'm hoping you're wrong in this scenario.
Hopefully I am wrong. But I have a feeling that this power we're seeing right now is just the start. And then as we still have like a month and a half left of baseball, there's still a lot of time for teams to figure out Jackson Holliday.
You know what? It's crazy. A month and a half, and I don't think that we can come to any conclusions. There's no team that's running away as the front runner. The Phillies look like they were the beast of the NL, and then they're 3-7 in their last 10. The Dodgers have, I think, a 2.5 game lead in the NL West. New York is starting to come back to life, but they were showing signs of being dead. There's probably, I think, 3 teams that are mathematically eliminated for the playoffs. Yeah. But other than that, it's pretty open. So a lot of fantasy left, a lot of real baseball left. And the postseason, I think, is going to be interesting because there's no running away with it. And Marty and I were talking before the show, like, the Gladiator that he's in, there's a lot of time left in TGFBI, 2 weeks in most ESPN home leagues. So it's been a grind, but now is when you really got to crack down. But
it's going to get crazy here. Like, we're seeing all these sleeper teams now start to emerge also in the West. Like the Diamondbacks, second half team, like if they get really hot, you got to watch out. They could easily storm right back to the World Series because now that everyone's healthy, like there's a bunch of, like, look at the Cubs now. The Cubs came out of nowhere. They were dead. They were done. The season was over, and now, watch out. We're coming Milwaukee. So
when you look at the NL playoff standings, Philly, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers are leading their division. Miami and Colorado are both 44-75, 18 games behind the last wild card. They're probably eliminated. The Nats are 8 games behind the final wild card. They're probably eliminated. Pittsburgh is 5 back, and that's them being on a 7-game losing streak. They were about 1.5 games behind out of that third. So now you look beyond that. Cincinnati, 4.5 games behind. Chicago, 3 games behind, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. Giants and Cardinals 1.5 games behind. The Mets and Braves tied for the third playoff spot. It's crazy to say that the Braves might miss the playoffs if you said that in March. And then Arizona and the Padres both have a 4-game lead over the third one. So there's a lot of time left, but wow, that's some chaos.
And Pittsburgh, Jared Jones is like within a week away from coming back. So especially the NL Central, it is going to get really, really exciting to watch as we get closer to September.
Yeah, gotta love those interdivision games.
Yeah,
I didn't think I would. When they expanded the playoffs at first, I was like, I don't know, but now this is actually pretty cool. Now, but as a Tigers fan, I'm not worried about the playoffs. We won't be making it 9.5 game, a cool 9.5 games back. So we're not worried about that. It's all about fantasy here in Detroit.
Oh man, but you had Verls for years. Don't think I forgot that last time.
Hey, we did. Vinny, have you ever heard anybody call Verlander Verls?
Nope.
Damn it.
I've heard people call him Verlander, but not for
Vinny. I guess now you can make fun of me. All right, I'm going to say it once on the show, and that's it. Verlander. Was that good?
There we go. You know what? We got it.
That's a concentrated effort I have to do.
It's a good one.
But looking before we get to week 20, I want to talk about some names that have been pretty hot, and starting with Jake McCarthy. And this was somebody that I was big on before the season started. Vinny, I remember we had you on the show, and we were talking about how he was in trade rumors. Over the last 7 days, 407, a 448, 815 triple slash, 3 homers, 11 RBIs, no stolen bases, which is interesting to note because that's what we associate him a lot. It's just that speed aspect for it. Yesterday, hit his first multi-home run game of his career. Vinny, I want to start with you on this first. I feel like we've seen flashes of Jake McCarthy before. It seems like he has a little bit more of a direct playing time now. He started 9 out of the last 10 games, I believe. Is this another flash in the pan for Jake McCarthy, or is there anything you've seen that makes you think that this is a little bit more legit?
No, see, this is like Jake McCarthy's calling card. Like, he's a second half player. So it's always a very slow first half, and you're always wondering, what am I getting out of Jake McCarthy? Like, the second it hits August, Jake McCarthy's an all-star. This happens. This has happened now 2 years in a row now. I think this even happened in 2022 also. But it's so weird. You got Alec Thomas, who I'm pretty sure is maybe batting 200. So he's a glove-only outfielder that they're relying on. Corbin Carroll is starting to heat back up again. And then you got Gurriel. Who else you got? You have no one really keeping him out of playing time right now if the bat's hot. So they're going to keep on riding that bat all the way to the postseason. And he might even knock Alec Thomas out of the outfield for September if they get there.
And I made these notes before today's game. Jake McCarthy, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs, and a run today. So he's probably going to be one of the most added players, if not the most added player. And we don't know how significant the injury is, but Ketel Marte, left ankle contusion day-to-day for now, wasn't in the lineup today. So if he's out, I mean, that's just another injury leading to everyday playing time for him.
Yeah. With Ketel out, I would add right now Blaze Alexander. He would be the guy they call up to come and fill his spot.
Okay.
Yeah. And Lourdes Gurriel, it's a hamstring, so he's day-to-day. So keep an eye out on that. You never want to see, what is he, a 35-year-old outfielder with a hamstring injury?
Oh, gosh. So, yeah. That's a recipe for no stolen bases the rest of the season. It's funny when you don't realize it before. Like, if you play in a points league and not a roto league, you just kind of throw stolen bases out the window. But once you get in a roto league, you realize like how sneaky under the radar they are.
Speaking of under the radar, Lourdes Gurriel, I mean, he's batting .269. He's got 14 home runs, 6 stolen bases. I mean, that's a good you haven't heard much about him. It's a pretty solid year. He's only 30 years old, not 35. So everyone relax. 262 expecting batting average, though. I don't hate that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see when he comes back.
He disappointed me a couple of years ago when he was my ride or die in Toronto. But I've always thought he's an MLB caliber player. Speaking of somebody that was disappointing for years, Andrew Benintendi has 5 homers over the last 6 games, including 9 RBIs during that span. He has 13 on the season, and it's crazy because he had 8 in the first 90 games. He's likely going to have an everyday role. In a 15-team league, he's added, or you're going to add him. But do you think he's worth an add in a 10 to 12-team league, Marty?
Man, I don't think so. Look, he's now turned into this pull heavy hitter where he's trying to hit all of his home runs are to right field as a lefty. So he's kind of doing this Isak Paredes, his best version of that. He doesn't strike out that much, but as far as hard hit metrics are always down. So his max EV still 109.5. He had a higher one in 2022. So he's on a hot streak. He's on a hot streak that's going to go away. But he is going to be playing every day, so that's why he is good for 15-team leagues. 12-team, you can do better. He's batting .211.
But don't forget 320 over the last 7 days.
That's true, but it's a hot streak. That's it.
Marty, I do agree with you. I think when you think of 13 homers, guess how many RBIs he has? And if you saw it, then don't answer, and I'll go to Vinny.
13 home run, 39 RBI.
Vinny, what do you think?
13 homers. I'm gonna guess there's a lot of solo shots, so I'm gonna say like 25 RBIs.
All right, Marty was close. It was 40. Marty, you're really good at
very
this.
Close.
Yeah, you're very good at this. You hit Mackenzie Gore's strikeout prop on the head. You're one away from this. You're a little clairvoyant, but that's the thing you have to, I think, realize with Andrew Benintendi is a lot of these could be solo shots. He has 2 stolen bases on the year and 40 RBIs. So even if he is hitting for power in this little bit of a hot stretch, he has 9 RBIs over the last 5 games. So that's essentially 25% of his total just in this one hot stretch. So the numbers look great for now.
I do want to say just to piggyback on him. So when you look back to his hit chart in 2021, he has homers to left field, center, and right field. It's strictly all right field. Like he has changed the way that he bats, which makes me think it could be a little bit more possible for him to keep it. But yeah, that's my little bit of hope for Andrew Benintendi, as I have almost 0 for him just in general.
Yeah, and on top of that, I will double down. Since Grady Sizemore has taken over as manager of the White Sox, this whole entire team's offense looks completely different than it did a week ago under Griffoio. So that is something to monitor. Like maybe not add him as you're watching this, but keep tabs on White Sox players the rest of this week as Grady Sizemore gets more run. Because the offense against the Cubs this weekend, this is probably the best we've seen the Sox in probably 2 years, maybe. Like he has sparked a fire under all of them, and they are starting to click. So keep some tabs on them.
There is absolutely no research or factual statements behind what I'm about to say. But I feel like
that's how we like it here at Triple Play.
Exactly. All vibes and just paying attention to the game itself. I feel like every time a team fires their manager, there is more energy for the interim.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I imagine what, he said to him. I mean, it's like, guys, let's try not to be the worst baseball team of all time. Like there's still time to not be, let the Mets be the worst team of all time, not the White Sox. So yeah. I think that was a little bit of a kick in the butt. Not to mention all these guys are fighting for their life.
Yeah.
And how many of these guys are going to be in baseball next year at this level?
Yeah. I mean, they got rid of most of the talent they have. Obviously, Luis Robert will probably still be there. Benintendi will probably still be on a major league roster, but the rest of the people you got to worry about. And what's funny is when we have Mike Carter on, and obviously, I don't want to say proud, but famous Chicago White Sox fan, probably the biggest one we know on the X universe. He has been saying for over a year that he was not a Pedro Grifol fan. Coming into a couple of years ago, the White Sox had such huge expectations. Like we were thinking of them as a perennial playoff team. And I remember early on that he was not a fan of Grifol's managerial tactics and just kind of not being a player manager. So obviously from a talent perspective, they still don't have a lot of that, but they're playing harder. And I think that's something that you won't see them have another 21-game losing streak.
Yeah, and to double down on Sizemore is a coach that they have not had probably in 10 years. Like, he is a really gritty, very motivated guy. Like, this is a guy that was a paid intern less than a year and a half ago for the Diamondbacks, who then started to coach their Arizona Complex League team. And asking people that have played under him in the complex, they love him. He is such a team guy, and he is there for everyone. So he might be the interim right now, but don't be surprised if he is their manager going into the 2025 season. Like,
I would be surprised. I would be surprised only because the front office has already said they will be going outside of the organization for a new head coach. But it's the White Sox.
Yeah, I was about to say,
you can't. But here's the thing: you couldn't just be like, now, yeah, maybe we'll hire you. Like, you got to make him think he doesn't have the job so that he does everything he can.
I think you could Grady Sizemore. You could say, hey, man, for the next 3 months, you're going to audition for a coaching job. It won't be here, But so, yeah, But the White Sox actually finally did something correct. Is that they let Grifol at least get out, end on a win.
Yes.
Right. They didn't fire him when
in the midst of the losing stretch.
Yeah, that'd be kind of messed up.
Grady Sizemore, man, I loved him during his career. Couldn't stay healthy, but 2008, a 33 homer, 38 stolen base season. And this is before the, improved baits and or larger bases and different rules. Like a 33-38 season, that was so valuable. 90
I remember
RBIs.
I bought a Roto, I think it was a Roto Wire magazine, fantasy magazine, and he was on the cover.
Yeah.
Back in
we loved it. We loved you, Grady Sizemore.
Yeah, and what's even crazier, coming out of the 2015 draft, Andrew Benintendi's comp was Grady Sizemore. So
wow,
full circle, baby.
So it's all coming together. So
full circle.
Keep your eyes on Chicago. I think they're going to have a very surprising last 2 months of baseball.
Okay, you know what would really make it really full circle? Grady Sizemore retired at 32 years old. Andrew Benintendi is 30. If Andrew Benintendi, I could see Benintendi having 2 more years, and then he's not even worth a spot anymore.
Yeah.
Staying with bad teams, but guys that you might want to pick up. Jake Berger, 5 homers in the last 5 games. He has a hit in every game. He's hitting .344 over his last 7 games. He is not going to continue this pace, but he is going to get probably everyday at bats and someone that can hit in a third base, first base eligible. He has 22 homers on the season. What are your guys' expectations for him rest of the season? Do you think he keeps this power up? He's hitting .250 for the season. Do you think we see a little bit below that? Do you think he steals a base? He is 0.
I will say this. I had drafted a lot of Jake Berger at the beginning of the year. I still have him in a few spots, Glarf being the main one. But he got injured right away, right? I think it was an oblique injury that kept him out for 6 weeks. Then we all, Sean Murphy and everyone who gets these oblique injuries, right when they come back, the power is still not there. So we had to wait a little bit, and he's finally, it appears he's healthy, right? He hit 34 home runs last year. A lot of that was for the White Sox. He actually boosted his average more when he moved over to Miami. And Miami's kind of kept they've kept his bat more at a level plane with the slight increase. He's not swinging for the fences as much. That's backed up by his .251 average. But the problem is his OBP. It's .299. He still strikes out 27.5% of the time, and he doesn't walk. So I don't know. I think he's like a poor man's Kyle Schwarber right now, with minus no walks. So what does that give you? I don't know. Someone who's rosterable in a 15-team league and a 12, I think he's streamable right now. I would be starting him in a 12.
His stats are very identical to last year when you look under the hood. The walk percentage 5.9 to 5.5, the K rate 27.6 to 27.5. BABIP was 284 last year, BABIP 288 this year. Average 250 last year, batting average 245 this year. An expected batting average of 247. I think you have him as a source of power. 34 homers last year, only 80 RBIs, 21 homers this year, 51 RBIs. I think that this is what you can expect from him. I think I don't know if I would say it's his ceiling because he's been on 2 really bad teams with the White Sox and the Marlins, but he reminds me of what we thought Brent Rooker would be this. team and probably not a lot of RBI opportunities, but I would take him in a 12-team league just for that multi-position eligibility. Vinny, what say you?
Man, I would love to see Jake Berger on a team that doesn't have a horrible front office.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we can get this man to Texas or Atlanta, somewhere that has a functioning, good organization, I really don't like. I know he's 28, but I don't think we've seen the peak of Jake Berger. I think all this bad organization is playing into his skills. He's injury prone, but not really. Like, he's had 2 run-ins that have really concerned, and one was like right after he got drafted. But like, he could be easily like a poor man's Christian Walker if he gets to the right team. So I've actually, coming into this year, I picked up a few shares of Berger in Dynasty. So far, he's paid dividends, but I don't know. Maybe the power could easily keep up. Like, we could see him end the year with 30 homers. Like, I don't know. He's such an interesting player, and the strength of schedule the rest of the season doesn't concern me at all. So I'd be keeping Jake Berger for the rest of the season.
So 12-team rostered, but doesn't make the cut in a 10-team.
No, yeah.
That's fair. That's, I think, where I stand, and it sounds like Marty does as well. Let's talk about the pitching side. Probably the most Jekyll and Hyde pitcher this year, Spencer Arrighetti, has 12 strikeouts last outing, and what does he do to top that? He has 13 against the Red Sox, but 2 outings before that had 3 against Oakland. So over the last 2 games, 25 strikeouts, 13 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned. But for the season, and there's a large enough sample size, he has a 5.14 ERA, a 1.45 WHIP. He has the White Sox next outing, so you're going to play him. But White Sox have been good, so maybe there's a little bit of caution there. But after that, would you trust him rest of season in weekly leagues where you set your lineup Monday, set and forget? Vinny.
See, now, Arrighetti this year, he gives me like Hunter Brown vibes from last year. Like, it's a very every other week you don't know what you're getting from him. Against the White Sox, I would take the risk, but the White Sox are hot right now. Keep that in mind. Man, like, we're seeing this a lot with Houston Astro pitchers of recent. Like, they take long to adjust the majors. It's like a season and a half type of adjustment. Man, redraft wise this year, I would be very, very cautious with Arrighetti, but in Dynasty, you might want to go start snagging some shares because this year they evaluated all their pitching this year to send to Toronto, and they established that Arrighetti is the guy they want to keep over Jake Bloss. So they obviously see something they really like with him. It's starting to show now. This could be them identifying what they really want out of Arrighetti. So I don't know. Like, this is a toss-up. I think it's start at your own risk for the rest of the season. But this is a guy like Dynasty. Go start snagging some shares of him because Verlander, he's getting up there. You got that whole entire rotation injury-wise is a big toss-up now every year. So maybe you want to start throwing some darts going into 2025.
Marty, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, you already kind of touched on it, but I mean, it's a brutal schedule for him at Boston versus the White Sox, which is, they're heating up, but even afterwards at Baltimore, then at Philly. Yikes. Points leagues, I would be playing, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. I think there's, that K upside, and he'll get the innings. And to Vinny's point, I mean, Framber Valdez has been hurt on and off. Yusei Kikuchi has been hurt. He can be hurt anytime. Blanco, who knows how much longer he can go. Verlander, it's kind of the same thing. So I'll probably – I think he's a streamer in 10 and 12. And in 15 teams, I would be putting him in there. I'd ride it out in the 15 team, but that's speaking from probably more desperate than anything.
I think 15-team league is rosterable, and you're probably starting with him just because of that upside he shows. I mean, if you can have a 13 strikeout game, like, that's going to be huge for it. But it's the Jekyll and Hyde. He could kill your ratios.
That's the thing. If you are cruising like top 5 in ratios in your roto league, I would steer away. But if you just need Ks and hopefully a win or two, you could do worse.
Over the last 15 outings, he's given up 4 or more earned 4 times. He did it against the Brewers. Marty, he gave up 7 earned in 1.1 innings against Detroit June 15th. He gave up 6 earned at Toronto in 4 innings July 2nd. And then most recently, 4 earned against the A's in 6 innings, where you thought that might be a little bit of an easier matchup. It's interesting. He seems to struggle against teams that you think he would have more success with. Oakland, Detroit. I won't say Milwaukee, but and then, against the Red Sox, 2 earned, 13 Ks. Even against the Dodgers, 3 earned in 6 innings, 8 Ks. So maybe you do the opposite with him. If I was in a 12-team league, though, like you said, I think I would stream. You just don't want someone. A 1.45 whip is very alarming.
Yeah, I have him in a 10-team league, but he's on that cusp of like, I pick him up for a couple weeks, I drop him. And for these next few, I'll probably roll him out at Boston and versus the White Sox, but not at Baltimore or at Philly.
Yeah. Sticking with pitching, but going to relief pitching. So when Paul Sewald, and I got to say, I don't know what took Paul Sewald so long to get removed from the closer's job. I know they traded for him last year. He did not look good at all this year. I cannot believe how long they stuck with him, especially because Kevin Ginkel began the season and looked really well. But he's out of the closer role. There was a huge pickup for AJ Puck last week. Somebody in my league in TGFBI spent, I think, 111 on him. But Justin Martinez got 2 saves last week. So my question for you, how much fab would you drop on him if he's available in your league?
Let's say if I have $100 and I'm desperate for saves at this point, 12, 13. And the reason being, AJ Puck's there, even Ryan Thompson in Arizona, outside of Paul Sewald, they'll put anybody. Once Paul Sewald gets hurt, you don't know who's going to pitch that, the back end, those back end innings. But Justin Martinez is the guy right now, in theory, especially after getting those 2. So I think somewhere between up to 20% of your budget. But if you really need him, what are you saving the money for? Right. So I don't know. If you really need him, I guess go get him, whatever you got to pay. But if you don't, I'd say somewhere, 10, 15, maybe 20 at the most.
I would say 20. I can't think, and this is actually going to foreshadow to our topic after this. At this point in the season, how many save opportunities are going to be available? If someone like Josh Hader pitched 3 times last week and tomorrow there's a save opportunity, maybe they go to Ryan Presley, but you're not going to play someone like that unless you're, really trying to be gritty. I'd do 20%. He has 2 saves over the last week. He hasn't blown it. Luvalo showed that he had a long leash with Sewald. I think Sewald blew like 2 or 3 consecutive games, and he still kept going back to him. So that makes me think that he's a little bit hesitant to change. Maybe Thompson and Puck are the 7th, 8th inning guys, but for the save opportunities, he sticks with Martinez.
Would you rather have him, and this may be one of the guys we're going to talk about, the San Francisco Giants, Ryan Walker?
I'd rather have Ryan Walker. I love Ryan Walker.
There we go, Vinny. Who are we rolling with?
You know what? I think I'm going to go with Martinez. I'm going to go with Martinez because it feels like now, a little insight here, like going into last year, they were before they got Sewald, their whole entire plan was to eventually put Martinez as the closer. So they went on that hot run at the deadline last year. They had to go get out an established guy because they knew they were going for the long run. Now, this looks like Martinez is getting the audition for the closer role. Look at the teams that he has gone against in his last 5 starts. The Phillies, 2 times Cleveland, 2 times Pittsburgh. Those are not, those are not offenses that you mess with a lot and succeed against. The fastball, you're looking at 100, big velocity, late run on the fastball. It's a 3-pitch mix closer that, there's scary stuff there. I personally like Martinez. Walker, Walker's not a bad idea either. I think if you want the more established, if you want the more non-gamble guy, go with Walker. But if you really want to take a gamble, Justin Martinez could end this year on a crazy run as a closer and absolutely explode in value going into next year.
So let me just preface this. I have Ryan Walker probably since May in my home league. He's relief pitcher, starting pitcher eligible, and he just gives me good ratio. Like he never explodes for like a -7 game. Like maybe he might have like -2 or -3, but like twice a week I see like 4, 5, 7 if he gets a win. So that's just personal bias. But Vinny, I agree with you on Justin Martinez. Yeah. Looking back, he's had okay in his last 5 outings. And back-to-back games against Pittsburgh, he went 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Like he's shown that ability to strike out the side, which we never saw with Seawald. And I think the order will go Thompson 7, Puck 8th because they traded for him, Martinez 9th.
Yeah, and the schedule rest of season is very interesting. You have the Rockies this week. And then it's Tampa, Miami, Boston. Then it's Mets, Dodgers back-to-back at home, in San Fran, in Houston, back for 2 games against the Rangers. And then it's Brewers, Rockies, Brewers, Giants, and then the end of year in San Diego. So this will be interesting to keep an eye on because the scariest teams on there by far are like Dodgers, Padres, Brewers. Maybe the Astros if they're healthy. And maybe the Rangers if they're healthy. So this is a guy you really want to watch if you're starting to look towards next year. This is a guy to start circling because he could potentially be a sneaky relief pitcher option next year.
One of the things I look at too, if I'm targeting a closer and I plan to be aggressive with my bids, which I am, a little bit of foreshadow for Fab tonight. He hasn't pitched in 2 days. So the last time he pitched was the 9th, meaning he had yesterday off. He had today off. He could pitch 3 or 4 games next week, as opposed to if somebody had pitched Saturday, Sunday. I don't feel comfortable spending a lot of Fab because they might only pitch twice in the next week. So even if they are the closer, just from a workload perspective. But Marty, you did touch on this, and I don't think we saw this coming into the season. Camilo Duvall option to AAA. This was somebody that I think going into last season, we talked as a top 5 closer. He was certainly drafted as one. I want to start on just the player himself. And Vinny, you're kind of a prospect dynasty guy. What does this mean for his future outlook?
I don't know. This is weird because usually when you see the Giants openly and very publicly take a one of their reliable starting caliber pitchers and just throw them in the minors, it's usually not a good outcome past that. His walks and everything, like his whole entire repertoire in general has been down this year. So this could be just a go to AAA, fix it, but I don't know why you would do that so late in the year. I'd be very cautious. Even like as a dynasty owner, I would be very cautious of Duvall. Like they have the arms in their system to easily pull someone and start molding them for the closer role. Like they love targeting very toolsy pitchers. And and this also plays into he's a right-handed pitcher. That's usually the type of pitcher they struggle with. They are very good with developing left-handed talent. So it's a glass half full with Duvall. I personally am out on Duvall because just the track record in general with San Francisco giving up on pitchers is not well. So I would start looking to potentially move him in dynasty, maybe package him with someone that's willing to take a risk. But yeah,
if you sell him in dynasty, you're selling low. Do you think there's a buyer out there?
I think there is a very optimistic owner in your league that'll take the risk on Camilo Duvall just because you've seen the track record of what he has done.
Okay.
The only thing I want to say, it's his consistency. He can't throw strikes right now. And it's Bob Melvin, right? He's the coach.
I think so.
Yeah, Bob Melvin. He said, because I was listening to his interview, he said he's an all-star. We expect him to be up sooner rather than later, but he needs to work out his issues, and he doesn't want him to have to do it at the major league level. He can't throw strikes. So to me, that's something mental, right? So he hasn't had a good season all year. Maybe, he's just spiraling. Maybe he just needs a little bit of time to kind of chill out, Parker Meadow style, come back strong. You know what I mean?
So it's interesting because Duvall for the season, 4.7 ERA, 1.61 whip. The 1.61 whip, absolutely horrible, and there's no way to beat around the bush on that. Over his last 15 outings, though, he's only given up earned runs in 5 of them. Like, after the game against the Nationals, I think he got demoted, or that is when he got demoted. 1 inning, 1 hit, 3 earned, 2 walks. Prior to that, he hadn't given up double-digit walks in his last 15 games, and 2 games before that against the Nats, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. I'm wondering with Duvall if they overworked him. Like, I'm looking at their schedule. They had him pitch against the Nats on August 5th, and that's when he had the 3 strikeouts. August 7th, 1 hit, 1 run, or 1 hit, 1 walk in an inning. And then they pitched him again that day. So it was 3 and 4 days. Colorado, they had him pitch 3 days in a row. Earlier in the season against the Dodgers, back-to-back days. Cleveland, Atlanta, back-to-back days. I feel like they've overworked him. I feel like when he has rest is when we actually see him fire, but it seems like they're having him pitch consecutive days or 3 out of 4 on a pretty consistent basis.
I will say, if you are a Camilo Duvall owner, I would be very, very tuned into how he pitches down with the River Cats. Just see how he's utilized in AAA, see what their whole entire plan is with him, and just be able to make a quick decision if you have to. Because
Vinny,
go ahead.
No, I finished because my question's a little bit random. You actually have a logical thought.
Just be ready to pivot if you have to. If he is your closer for this season and you are in crunch time, be ready to pivot off of him immediately.
Vinny, my random question for you was going to be, what's your favorite minor league team? Like nickname wise.
Nickname wise, like their alternate. Like you have. Some will do like the Utter Tuggers up in Appleton. There's a bunch of different ones. That's a hard question because there's a lot of like alter ego minor league teams.
Thought of it on the spot.
Yeah.
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah.
I'll give you till the end of the show. You got like 20ish minutes to think about it. Focusing on a big part of baseball, the injuries aspect. So just kind of an injury update of new players that are injured, guys that are coming back. And to finish out, I want to have a game of keep or cut for guys that you might own rest of season. But starting with the injuries, and Marty and Vinny, feel free to stop me at any time. Nathan Eovaldi, right side tightness. No update on that, but if it's a side, it's an oblique, and obliques have not been favorable this year.
Yeah, especially with Nathan Eovaldi. He has a history of often getting hurt. But I only have him in one place, and it's a Gladiator, so I think I'm going to keep him.
Okay, keeping. Speaking about obliques, Christian Walker, not yet asymptomatic with his oblique strain. Once again, obliques being tricky. I assume Christian Walker, even though they haven't given a timetable, somebody you're keeping rest of season?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not very optimistic, especially after the Bell signing, but I think he'll be back with a couple weeks left in the season just to get him right, because I think the Diamondbacks might make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would hold him, and I don't think anybody is telling you to cut him, but I think they will take their time with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits another 2 to 3 weeks, but he's useful for the fantasy playoffs or for the stretch down the season. James Paxton, a right calf strain against the Astros. He lasted 2 outs and walked very gingerly off the mound, needed assistance. If there was anybody that was rostering James Paxton, cut it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Due to age on top of that, and then man, Boston has a bunch of arms they can interchange also. So yeah.
And it's weird. James Paxton, he wasn't that bad for the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't absolutely terrible. So what did they know that, you know, the Dodgers being one of the smartest organizations, you know, they offloaded him. They probably saw he's probably hit his threshold for innings just because
that's what I was thinking. He'd started to get bombed and he wasn't striking out as many guys. Looking at some other injuries, as we talked about, Ketel Marte, left ankle contusion, day-to-day for now, missed today's game. Marty's Wenceel Perez, left oblique strain, likely out for the season, so droppable in all redraft leagues. Grayson Rodriguez shut down for 10 days and hopes to be back in September with a lat strain. I think you keep him. He's too talented to cut, right?
I'm holding him.
Vinny's holding him.
Yeah, I'll hold him. Why not?
Ryan Pepio, looking like somebody I shouldn't have regretted cutting in TGFBI. 7 Ks over 3.1 scoreless innings in Double-A in his first rehab outing. He's missed about a month as he had a infection in his left knee after a bug bite. They said it swelled to the size of a baseball, and he had to go to the hospital. So nothing, structurally wrong with him. Obviously, just kind of a fluke scenario, but he looks good to go. Threw about 70 pitches in his rehab outing. Kyle Tucker remains unable to sprint, but is jogging no problem. This is when he was ruled day-to-day over 2 months ago. Are you worried Kyle Tucker doesn't play at all this season? The fact that he remains unable to sprint, and I'm going to say regular season, do you think we see him again?
I think we will. I have him in one league, and I have IL spots in that league, so it hasn't been that bad. Well, actually, no, 2. I have him in a draft and hold, but I just put him on the bench. He had a stress. It was a fracture. He fractured his shin.
He absolutely did.
Let's just call it what it is. So the timetable on that is usually somewhere around 2 to 3 months. And this seems to be a slow healer. I'm keeping him because you can't cut him just in case he does come back, even for a week or two. I think the Astros are going to be, fighting for a playoff spot, and they're going to need him to at least get his timing down. So I'm holding, but I'm not optimistic. I think he'll be back in September.
What are the odds that the Houston Astros completely collapse here and fall out of the playoff race in the next?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
They
that could be their playoff run is basically what's determining if Kyle Tucker's coming back this year or if he's getting ready for next year. But that's really weird. Like, he can jog, but he can't sprint. So what is the timetable on that? Is that considered a setback? Like, is he on track? Like, it feels like they're being very, very cloudy with their
this is one of the weirdest injury situations I can think of in a long time.
Do you remember
I'd be very concerned, but I'm keeping him on the injury on the.
He was writhing in pain when it happened. There was no way it was day to day.
I know. We were recording. We were in the middle of a podcast. I was like, Kyle Tucker just took a ball off his ankle.
Yeah,
or his shin.
I remember. He definitely has a broken leg or a stress fracture, and that's where I think when you're really like putting more force on it, because when you're sprinting, you're putting more force on your legs to push off the ground as opposed to jogging, which is a little bit lighter.
Do you know which leg it is? Also,
I think it's his left one.
I think it was his front leg.
Okay, I was about to say, because if it's his back left leg, especially for a left-handed hitter, that's where you get all your torque from. And if you're having problems sprinting with it, good luck getting any power the rest of the season on that, especially if you're coming back from it. I don't know. It's really shady. Don't expect him to help you the rest of the year, but keep him on your IL.
Okay. And if you're in a thing like TGFBI, Glarf, you keep him on your bench, right?
Yeah. Yes. I just watched the video. He screamed, "Oh!" so loud when it hit him, and it was his front foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't realize how it's not safe for work, but if you get a moment, check it out, man.
I'll never forget You know when athletes yell, because athletes have such a high threshold for pain. When you hear one of them yell, I'll never forget when Reggie Jackson played for the Pistons and he had a grade 3 ankle sprain. It's like at the end of the game and he throws it down court and the camera goes off and you just hear someone blast the F word.
Yep.
And you know, yeah.
I was gonna say, especially in baseball, there's no upside to pretending you're hurt. Like, yeah, he was, yeah. You got to hold them though. Yeah. That's where we're at with Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. Well, staying on injuries, Ranger Suarez 36 pitch bullpen session on Thursday. They don't expect him to get activated before the end of the team's homestand, August 18th. So it seems like he's still another week or two away, probably just managing his innings. Staying a little bit optimist now, Michael Harris returning to AAA, and wow, do the Braves need him. Yeah. They blew an 8-2 game at the bottom of the 8th to the Rockies, who they allowed to score 7 runs. Luke Jackson might be the worst pitcher in baseball. I feel like he is the bullpen equivalent of Patrick Corbin. Is that fair? Just guys that suck?
Yes, he has mightily struggled. I will say that.
Marty, you're so nice.
He is indeed becoming infamous for his inability to close out games.
He's not even closing out games. They're up 6.
I will say this: screw
the
Braves.
Inability to get someone out.
I would say screw the Braves. I need Michael Harris on my team because I drafted him in the 2nd round, and I felt like a schmuck all year. He was terrible for the first 2 months, and then he got hurt. So, yeah, I need him to come back and be really good, like right away. I need 10 homers and 10 steals.
There you go. Got him for the fantasy playoffs. Mookie Betts is due back Monday, recovering from a broken wrist. Baseball's better with him. Julio Rodriguez activated before Sunday Night Baseball, so he's back officially from a grade 2 ankle sprain. Sticking back to the Dodgers, Max Muncy played a rehab game first action since May 15th. He went 1 for 2 with a double and a walk in AAA. So that's a huge boost to the Dodgers. Wow, they really need that.
Yeah, getting both Betts and Muncy back probably within 2 weeks of each other, that is pretty crazy. But then they also just lost River Ryan today for the season. So, but they have interchangeable pitching, so we'll see what that does.
Glasnow is back from the IL as well.
Yeah, he pitched well. And Julio Rodriguez is back today, and the Seattle Mariners have scored 10 runs this evening. Julio Rodriguez has gone 0 for 4.
Love to see it.
Man. Succeeding without your best player.
Yeah.
It's rough.
They had a great offensive game yesterday as well. I love that they're doing this against the Mets.
Just real quick, because I know we're trying to, but Julio Rodriguez, is he 2nd rounder in a 15-team league? I assume he's. Is he? I don't think he's a first rounder. I don't.
Where in the 2nd round?
Probably like around where Ellie and Gunnar Henderson went this year. So mid-2nd, give or take a couple spots.
I could see him being at the turn of the 2nd, 3rd. Like if you had like the 2nd or 3rd pick, and you get him on the way there. The speed is there, and I think like average wise, but it's not a good ballpark for hitting power. I think the hype on him picked up a lot super quickly, and he hasn't really hit that hype over a long period of time after like the beginning of last season.
Yeah, rightfully so, though. 22, he hit 28 home runs, 25 stolen bases. 2023, he had 32 homers, 37 stolen bases. Now, 11 home runs and 18 steals.
I want to look at his splits at the beginning of 2023 because I feel like he was
Jake McCarthy right now.
Because I feel like he was very good at the beginning of 2023. He like came out blazing.
No, I want to say the opposite. I think he was really bad at the beginning of the year and then turned it up at the last part.
Okay, no, I'm thinking about 2022, the year that he won Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I pull that up. Max Scherzer, there's no update about his shoulder fatigue. Is he a cut for you guys?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Yeah, 10 and 12 team for sure. I would hold out on a 15 team just because, dude, I don't know if you guys have seen the waiver wire like an NFBC 15 team league, but it's absolutely brutal.
Oh, I've been looking. It is awful. Got to be smart about who you have on that bench. I want to ask you this one. Reynaldo Lopez. The Braves are, I think, one of the worst at putting guys on the IL when they should or just holding people out. They didn't put Austin Riley on the IL earlier this year and just had him out for like one game besides the minimum with an oblique issue. They said nothing structural wrong, but still forearm tightness. Would you cut him in a redraft? Or I'll tell you this. I'm planning to cut him in TGFBI tonight, and I'm on the edge. I'm on the ledge, and I say, guys, give me one more chance. Talk me out from this ledge and keeping Reynaldo Lopez. What's your pitch?
Who are you cutting him for, though? That's where we need to start.
All right. Guys that I would have him over, and I hope none of my league mates listen to this 54 minutes before Fab. Ryan Walker. And I'm looking at who has a favorable matchup for like a pitcher next week. That not even a 2-start pitcher, but like Paul Blackburn against the A's.
Oh yeah, I'd fire that up. But here's something in your favor for cutting him, and this is where I'm at with him. 2022, he pitched 65 innings. 2023, 66 innings. I don't know if there's any minor league innings in there. Vinny, you can correct me if you know. He's already up to 104.2. So he's 40 innings above where he was the last 2 years. That's a lot of wear and tear for a 30-year-old who may not be ready for that. I'm not optimistic about it. I don't think where you're at right now, and for you listeners that maybe don't know, Doc's like in the top 5 at TGFBI. So you don't have time to wait for him if you're looking to win the whole damn thing. And Reynaldo Lopez isn't going to be the guy that's going to win you at this point.
Agreed.
That's how I feel.
Agreed. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm jumping off the ledge. You talked me over. Bye, cruel world. See you, Reynaldo Lopez.
Go 7 innings next time out. 12 Ks. You fucking hate me.
My God, I'd be. That would suck.
But no, what is his injury status? It's undisclosed. We just don't forearm tightness or forearm whatever, and that's it. We don't got anything else.
The most recent update is on Thursday. They Justin Toscano, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, reported he began playing catch.
Man, that's still a month out then.
That's still a month out.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys another tough injury one, because I think we're all on agreement on Carlos Correa or Reynaldo Lopez. Carlos Correa. This is interesting. He's sprinting on the field and is feeling better, but he won't go on a rehab assignment until he sees how his foot responds to increased activity. And this is a plantar fasciitis issue, which I feel like he has had a lot before, and he's experiencing pain during jogging.
I think if you have Carlos Correa and he's given you the season that he has, which is 13 home runs and batting .308, I think you're very, very happy with that. Plantar fasciitis, who knows? It may be along the same or maybe the same foot of that ankle that they didn't, was it the Giants that turned him down that big contract because of his medical history? I wouldn't be waiting around for Carlos Correa.
Yeah, and they have guys that they could call up right now. You have Julian in AAA. You have Junior Severino also in AAA. Like, they have guys that they could easily just put in for him right now. Because this plant, especially with the plantar fasciitis, like, okay, it might get better, and he could have one at bat, and it's re-aggravating, and you're done again. So it's
for the Twins, the Minnesota Twins are looking to make the playoffs this year. They would want Carlos Correa in that playoff lineup, so they're not going to push him.
I thought I would get more pushback on this. I did not think that you guys would just be as open to it as I was.
To be honest, though, and I have to be honest with our listeners, I haven't drafted him since Nam. Yeah. Like, there hasn't been a team in the last 5 years where I've had Carlos Correa on it. So I'm always going to be pessimistic.
Marty, that's a top 5, I think, funny comment I've heard from you. I haven't drafted him since Nam. Jordan Westberg, easy cut.
Yeah.
Riley Green, he's expected to begin a rehab assignment for AAA, but that's a hamstring issue as well. Marty, our Tigers insider. Should we be worried?
Riley Green, I mean, ever since he's came up, even when he was in the minor leagues, he's had problems staying healthy. Soft tissue is always scary, especially when you do rely on his defense. Even though now he's more playing the corners because of Parker Meadows in the in center field most of the time. He plays reckless. And anytime you have somebody who plays reckless with a soft tissue issue, I don't love it. You're not cutting him, you're holding him, and he's still an excellent hitter. Excellent hitter. You just got to hope he can stay healthy over the next couple weeks. But there's nothing you can do. If you got him, you're not cutting him. You just got to roll with him. But yeah, it's somewhat concerning, but nothing. There's no actionable advice.
Yeah, if Riley Green was on like a winning franchise or with a winning franchise, like they'd probably be or not winning like in the division, but if they were like a smart ran organization, they'd be shutting Riley Green down for the rest of the year. But it's the Tigers, so you could see him back up in 2 weeks running around center field. So, yeah, I would keep him.
Let me ask you guys, and this is the last player I'll talk about, Yoshi Yamamoto. They still said multiple weeks away from being back in game action. He ramped up to 30 pitches in his most recent session. Obviously, the investment the Dodgers made in him, is he a cut and redraft? And not if you have an IL spot. I'm talking about, once again, limited bench.
Man,
he just started throwing.
The last update on him was 1 day ago. He will throw
August 10th.
Yeah, he'll throw a bullpen session and then rejoin the Dodgers during their 3-game series against the Cardinals to throw live batting practice. He most recently worked up to 30 pitches in his most recent bullpen session, and he's likely multiple weeks away from a rehab game.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way he doesn't come out with at least 1 or maybe even 3 rehab starts. Like, when was the last time he pitched? Like, for early June?
June
Late
15th. June 15th, he went 2 innings against the Royals.
Yeah, if he comes back, it's going to be either last series or second to last series of the year. Man, if you have an injury spot, yes, but if you don't, and if you're competing, you're gonna have to cut Yamamoto. You're gonna have to go and chase the streamers.
To your point, Vinny, starting tomorrow. There are 6 weeks left of the season, so we're talking. He's a month away from. Yeah, and even if he does come back, he would pitch 2 or 3 innings. He won't be going 5 or 6.
Yeah, even if he does come back, he's not helping your fantasy team.
Yeah. That is the rationale for Reynaldo Lopez. You have favorable memories of these guys. You thank them for everything they've done, and then you show them the brutal side of the business and cut them like there's no tomorrow.
106 innings from Reynaldo Lopez. No one thought that was coming this year.
You'll take it. The ROI on like round 24 or whatever I got him, chef's kiss.
Yeah, and the Dodgers could also even hold him for the playoffs and just wait to bring him back then too. Like there's so many different scenarios that could happen with Yamamoto that I don't want to have a part of him going into the last month here.
That's true. And then just finishing out the show with next week's schedule, 2 teams with 5. 2 of the poopier teams, Oakland and Miami. Look at MLB doing that on purpose. And then teams with 7, Atlanta, Boston, the Dodgers, the Brewers, Twins, and Rangers. Funny how they put good teams coming into the year with 7. MLB, you knew what you were doing week 21. But that about does it for these guys. About an hour pod. Vinny, Marty, anything before we get out of here?
I'd just like to thank Vinny for coming on. It's prospect knowledge is untouched. And you know what? You're just a delight to be around.
Thank you. And to answer your question earlier, Doc, it is the Cucuys de San Bernardino. So the Inland Empire low A for the Los Angeles Angels.
Say that name again.
Cucuys de San Bernardino.
That's like French. It's like
No, it's actually it's the Copa America.
Okay. That's a good team name.
Yeah, it's the logo is pretty sick, and so are their hats.
Yeah. All right, Vinny, that was a good one. And to echo Marty's point, it's been the second time that us three have done it, and Vinny is literally available on call. And by that I mean being able to come on 30 minutes before the show. So
he's a pro.
He's a pro. He said, get me a script. I'll make fun of Doc with a jab, and I'll be ready for knowledge.
Was it stay ready so you don't have to be ready? Vinny stays ready.
Indeed.
He does. All right. Well, week 21 coming up. A lot of baseball left. Enjoy it because starting in a couple weeks as NFL season ramps up, you will see less coverage of baseball unless you have MLB TV, but don't expect it on any of the major networks. But for Vinny, for Marty, for Doc, we're going to make like a bread truck and haul these buns, a.k.a. Art and David behind us. We'll catch you guys next week.